One of the many things you need to know when you export is whether or not your product has an ECCN. What's that? No, it's not the same thing as a Schedule B number. Let's see, give me an O. I know, it's Export Control Classification Number. It's a classification that the U.S. Department of Commerce Bureau of Industry and Security, or BIS, gives to products and technology, the export of which they wish to control for various reasons, such as national security or foreign policy. That classification is one of 4 questions that go into determining whether or not your item requires an export license from the BIS. The other questions are where it's going, the destination country, who's receiving it, restricted parties, and how it will be used, whether that extruded tubing will be used to make bicycles or nuclear centrifuges. Actually, there is another question that should be asked before these, whether it's controlled under the International Traffic in Arms Regulations, because that takes precedence over the BIS. But the ITAR is a subject for another video. An ECCN has 5 characters and looks like this. The first character represents the category. The second represents the product group. So this classification, 3A002, is for some sort of electronic system, equipment, or component. The remaining characters refer to the reasons for control, which we'll talk about in a moment. All ECCNs are listed on the Commerce Control List. Here's our 3A002, which covers general-purpose electronic equipment. Notice here are the reasons for control. Looking at our list from a moment ago, we can see that 3A002 is controlled for national security and anti-terrorism. Does this mean that all electronic equipment is 3A002, like toaster ovens and bathroom scales? No, I don't think that toaster ovens represent a lot of national security concerns. You have to search through the list of items controlled, which, after a few notes, begins here. So when you get to the end of 3A002 and you don't find your item, does that mean it's not controlled? Not necessarily. You're going to have to look at all the other listings in the electronics category and potentially other parts of the Commerce Control List. As you can see, some of these descriptions are pretty complicated, and depending on your job function, you're probably not going to know these things. It's going to require the assistance from a design engineer or someone with some technical knowledge of the product. By now, any dummy can see that self-classifying, while not impossible, isn't always an easy process, and it requires a thorough understanding of the Commerce Control List. But before your head explodes, there are some alternatives. You can submit a classification request to the BIS. Unfortunately, this will take several weeks at least. If you are not the manufacturer, but a reseller, you can ask the manufacturer. They may have already determined the ECCN and may be willing to share it with you. Keep in mind that, as you are the exporter, you will be responsible if they are wrong, so you still need to verify it. Finally, you can hire a skilled professional. It's faster than the BIS, and it might be more accurate than the manufacturer. And what if, after all this, you find that your item isn't on the Commerce Control List? Then it's not controlled, it doesn't have an ECCN, and it's designated EAR 99. Does this mean that you don't need an export license? Remember, we've only addressed the question of what it is. There are remaining questions to answer in the license determination process. I'll try to address these in future videos.